Good morning, welcome to Breakfast with Rachel Burden and Charlie State.
Our headlines today. Almost 3 years after he was sent to prison for sexual assault, the American entertainer Bill Cosby is released after his conviction was overturned.
The fashion chain Gap confirms plans to close all its 81 stores in the UK and Ireland.
Good morning. A major boost for electric cars as Nissan is set to announce a big investment in batteries. The government's involved, but critics say they're ahead on promises but behind on investment.
Good morning. Andy Murray has done it again. The two-time Wimbledon champion battled through a late-night five-set epic on centre court once more to make it into the third round now.
And on the day Princess Diana would have turned 60, her sons William and Harry unveil a statue in her honour.
Good morning. Today again, parts of the east will have a bit of cloud around, thick enough with some drizzle, but for many of us, we're looking at a drier, sunnier day with a few showers, some of which could be sharp. I'll have all the details later in the programme.
Morning, it's Thursday the 1st of July. Our top story today. After more than 2 years behind bars, the American actor and comedian Bill Cosby has been released from prison.
Judges at the highest court in Pennsylvania overturned his conviction for sexual assault, ruling the 83-year-old should be freed because the correct legal processes hadn't been followed. Michelle Fleury has this report.
This is the moment Bill Cosby left prison a free man. He had served 2 years of a 3 to 10 year sentence. His fall from grace was sealed in 2018 after he was found guilty of 3 counts of sexual assault for drugging and molesting Andrea Constant in 2004. But in a stunning reversal, Pennsylvania's highest court said the entertainer should never have been charged. In the split ruling, the judges wrote the trial shouldn't have gone ahead because of an immunity deal Mr. Cosby had struck with a previous prosecutor. He can't be retried. Earlier, supporters drove by Mr. Cosby's home shouting, "Hey, hey, hey," a reference to Fat Albert, the cartoon character he once played. The comedian, who is back with his family, didn't comment to the media, but said in a statement, "I have always maintained my innocence." For his accuser, Andrea Constant, it was a bitter blow. Reacting to the decision, she called it not only disappointing, but of concern in that it may discourage those who seek justice for sexual assault in the criminal justice system. Bill Cosby became known as America's dad for his role as Cliff Huxtable in the 1980s hit sitcom The Cosby Show. His conviction was seen as proof that even when the accused is one of the most famous people in the world, the voices of the victims of sexual assault could be heard in the US justice system. Now he has a chance to restore his reputation. Michelle Fleury, BBC News, Pennsylvania.
The clothing retailer Gap has announced it's closing all 81 of its stores in the UK and Ireland and will trade only online.
Ben Boulos is outside the company's flagship store on London's Oxford Street and can tell us more. So, Ben, how have they come to this decision?
Well, this is part of the problem. Heavy discounting is something that Gap has relied on to get shoppers coming into the stores and spending money even before the pandemic hit. So when lockdown came in and the stores had to shut, it was already in a rather weak position. Now its flagship store and the other 80 that it has across the UK and Ireland will close by the end of September. It will become an online-only retailer in this country, reflecting a very definite trend in the way that we are all now shopping. Once a common sight on the British High Street, but by the end of September this year, all 81 Gap clothes shops in the UK and Ireland will have shut their doors for the final time. The warning signs were already there. Last month, the company announced the closure of 19 stores as their leases were expiring. In a statement, Gap said it planned to stay trading online, but hasn't yet made clear how many of its staff will be affected by the plans. A consultation with workers is underway.
We heard from Gap earlier this year that they were undergoing a strategic review of all the retail operations in Europe and that it could mean the closure of all the stores in the UK. Whilst it's a massive gap on the high street because it's another brand gone, I think it's understandable because the organisation have not only had to endure the same on-off lockdowns that the rest of retail has, and they were dependent on those numbers, but it's also a brand that's going through big change. They were having challenging times before the pandemic hit.
Gap's announcement comes as the latest blow to UK high streets, already reeling from the collapse of Debenhams and retail group Arcadia during the pandemic. And with online retail sales continuing to rise and footfall remaining sluggish, it's unlikely Gap will be the last of the big clothing chains to move permanently to cyberspace. Well, the lights are still on and the display windows are still full here, but it will close. And you might think that here on Oxford Street, it'll be easy to find someone to take over that store. But on the way, I walked past Debenhams' old flagship store. Remember, that shut just a few months ago. It's still boarded up and empty. And take a look, even just over the road from where we are, another retail unit to let. Even this on the UK's prime retail shopping location.
Thank you very much, Ben. More on that to come a bit later on in the programme.
The Japanese car maker Nissan is due to confirm a major expansion of its Sunderland plant this morning, creating thousands of jobs locally.
It's expected that a new factory will be built, capable of producing more than 100,000 batteries for electric vehicles every year by 2024.
And Nina is there for us this morning. So, Nina, tell us what we might hear a little later on.
Yeah, morning Charlie and Rach. I tell you what, it's nice to be at a car plant announcing some growth for once rather than job losses, and this could be a major day for Sunderland, a major day for the British car industry, and also for our pledge to get rid of diesel and petrol cars by 2030. If, as we expect, as the BBC expects, Nissan does announce this major boost in battery production. Just to give you a bit of background, so Nissan, the site here in Sunderland, this is the Japanese car maker's biggest site in Europe. It's been here since 1986 and currently employs about 6,000 people now. At the moment, they do make the electric Leaf model and the batteries that go in it, but the government wants more. They want more electric cars, more batteries with more power in them. So are we expecting to see the announcement today of something called a gigafactory? So that is a factory that makes batteries with 3 times the capacity of the current ones that are currently made here. They have a lot more power. They're made possible by the economy of scale. They make more of them faster, pumping them out at a huge rate. We also might hear about a new electric model being launched, and they're not doing this alone, Nissan. They're doing it with the help of the government. What we don't know at the moment is how much that will be. The overall fee is expected to be around £500 million. Perhaps the government investment will be tens of millions. We await to see. What we do know is that they need for this to happen. They are hostage to their own promises about phasing out petrol and diesel cars by 2030, about UK carbon neutrality by 2050, and critics say that they have overpromised but are under-delivering on measures. For example, 2.5 million electric car power points are needed, and critics say that if this announcement goes ahead this morning, it will be nowhere near enough.
Thank you so much, Nina.
Dozens of people have died in Western Canada during an unprecedented heat wave that's lasted almost a week.
Cities across the northwest of the US are also experiencing the intense heat, which President Biden has blamed on climate change. Here's our science editor, David Shukman.
A sign of trouble in a world that's getting hotter. An emergency cooling centre in a region that never normally needs one. The western United States and Canada are experiencing heat they're just not used to.
I think it's incredibly important that we set up these spaces so people can come in, feel taken care of, feel safe, get cool, and get some water and a bite to eat if they need it.
You know, the hotels seem to be sold out as well because people are running away. They need to go somewhere cool with AC. It's just unbearable. It's impossible to be out.
It's most dangerous for the homeless. Helping them with shade and water is essential. In Canada, which is famous for its cold, the heat wave has been blamed for more than 100 deaths. It's the elderly who are less able to regulate their body temperature who are most vulnerable.
Whether you have harder breathing problems or even if you're an elderly person, sometimes you just don't cope quite as well in the heat and sun.
And the hotter it gets, the more wildfires are likely to start. This one was filmed in California a few days ago. President Biden has warned that the rising temperatures bring all kinds of dangers.
The extreme heat we're seeing in the West is not only a risk amplifier for wildfires, it's a threat in and of itself. People are hurting. It's more dangerous for kids to play outside. roads are buckling under the heat. I need not tell all of you.
So what's causing this heat? Well, there's a vast dome of high pressure above Western Canada. It's like a lid in the atmosphere, trapping warm air and pushing it down where it gets even hotter. And the heat is held in place by the path of the jet stream, so temperatures have kept climbing. And this is really unusual. The dark red area is far warmer than average, and scientists say that it's human activity, the burning of fossil fuels, that's made this far more likely.
Analysis of the temperatures that we're seeing in the western side of North America just wouldn't have been feasible in the natural course of events. We've analysed the climate that you would expect without emissions of greenhouse gases, and you just don't see these sorts of extraordinary temperatures that we're seeing at the moment.
The next big worry is farmland and whether crops will survive the punishing temperatures. The heat wave won't last forever, but it is a reminder of what climate change can really mean. David Shukman, BBC News.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.